Welcome to Sydney, Australia, the land down under. On this episode of One Guy, One World, Two Wheels, we're going to go on a ride along with an Aboriginal motorcycle club known as an Indigenous Mob. Later, we're going to go check out the Rising Sun Motorcycle Workshop and Cafe. So come along, join the ride. Founded in 1770 when Captain Cook sailed in the harbour of what today we would call Sydney. The British explorer was greeted to a whole new world that offered all kinds of unique species and flora and fauna, found nowhere else in the world, such as kangaroos, koala bears, and emus. The British also met with the Aboriginal people whose culture goes back over 40,000 years. By 1788, the British government decided it would be the perfect place to send its criminals and undesirables. Everyone from petty thieves to ethnic Irish dissidents were sent there. The territory of New South Wales became known as a penal colony, and Sydney became the capital of New South Wales. By the early 1800s, the Irish convicts led a series of rebellions. Castle Hill, the Rum Rebellions, and other uprisings which succeeded in the ousting of Governor William Bligh, the same William Bligh from Mutiny on the Bounty. As a visitor to Sydney, the very first place most everyone will head to is the waterfront, known as Circular Quay. Here are two of Australia's most iconic landmarks, the Sydney Harbour Bridge and the unmistakable Sydney Opera House with its seashell or sail-like design. With the massive harbour bridge towering in the backdrop is the Rocks, Sydney's oldest neighbourhood and once military garrison and former prison. With the old cobblestone streets and stone-built buildings, the Rocks still holds the charm of old Sydney from its colonial days. Another neighbourhood which is known for its more edgier and seedier reputation is King's Cross. With its nightlife and bars, and with the giant Coca-Cola billboard, King's Cross was the closest thing to Times Square for Sydney. So here we're at the Rising Sun Motorcycle Workshop and Cafe. It's kind of a collective where you can bring your bike in, put it on a lift, do whatever repairs you need to do. They supply all the tools and equipment. Also, while you get hungry, you want to get a bite to eat, they have breakfast, lunch, get a cup of coffee here. The place is located here in the Newtown neighborhood of Sydney. So let's take a walk in and meet with the manager. Brad. Okay, he's the manager here. So tell us a little bit about this place. How did it come about?
So the idea was born around the need or necessity for somewhere in the built-up inner city for people to work. So what we do is provide space. We provide the tools, the bike lifts, and some guidance for someone to come along and do all their repairs themselves. People pay a yearly membership.
Right.
And pay a small fee per hour to use the bay space.
Okay. All right.
Try and keep that as low as we can so it's an accessible thing.
Yeah.
The offset to that is we have a cafe and restaurant that helps to subsidise our workshop space. And we were just recently awarded a chef's hat, Australia's version of a Michelin star.
Oh, and I see you supply some of the supplies here.
Yeah, so the more specialist equipment up in one corner.
Right.
Each bay has their own bike lift, their own bench, their own toolbox.
Okay.
So there's no sharing of tools that way. You've got everything you ever need.
Right.
And yeah, 4 of those spaces working. There's enough space between for a couple of people to work on
yeah, you're not getting into each other's way here.
Yeah, exactly.
It's stressful enough having to get into that one bolt and try and get everything out here.
Yep.
Well, I know we're in the Newtown neighborhood of Sydney, but how can somebody come and find your place if they...
They can. So we're just off the main street, King Street in Newtown.
Okay.
Google search Rising Sun Workshop.
Yeah.
We're 7 days a week on the cafe.
Yeah.
We do dinner from Wednesday through to Saturday evenings as well currently.
Right.
And our workspace is open from Tuesday through to Sunday.
So here we are with the Bloody Sunrise. It looks like a bit of a, I don't know, mixture of English breakfast with the blood pudding and some peppers and looks like mayo.
Today, I ride out to the Redfern where I meet up with the Mob Indigenous Riders Club. We ride into the Aboriginal Community Center together. We pull into a large field where we park our bikes and meet with one of the community's elders.
So we're here at the Aboriginal Center here in Sydney, Australia with the Indigenous Mob Motorcycle Club. They're going to show us some of the cultural highlights of the Indigenous peoples here of Australia.
The Aboriginal-based club began in 2010 in Mackay, Queensland, and today has developed into 3 chapters. Redfern used to be a low-income neighborhood where Aboriginal families lived in public housing. Today, like many urban neighborhoods and cities all over the world, Redfern has become gentrified. The older tenements have been replaced with upscale condos. Yet, here in the middle of the neighborhood, the Aboriginal Community Center is still standing and providing services to the First Nations people.
I'm Adam.
Adam, Joe,
Jeff.
Jeff,
Yep.
okay.
Bondi.
Bondi, okay.
Stixie.
So-
I'm Adam's brother.
Oh, okay.
Better
So, how long have you guys been in the club? Were you one of the founding members, or?
Yeah, we've been 6 years founding members of Newcastle.
Oh, okay.
But we've only been going for about 2 years now.
The
Maybe
club
a little
itself?
bit longer in Newcastle.
Oh, okay.
It was founded in Mackay
Oh,
in
okay.
2010.
When I, about a year and a half ago, I was researching, subjects to shoot in Australia. And Australia is like known outside America as like one of the biggest biking culture places outside there. And but for the longest time, I could not find any Aboriginal club. And then all of a sudden, somehow you guys popped up fairly recently, and then I reached out. It was perfect time. So do you guys do kind of the same protocol of most clubs, like prospecting periods and all that?
Yeah, we have it's only 6 months to sort of don't try to align ourselves with the outlaws.
Yeah, that's good. Keep yourself out of trouble. Keep under the,
Well, the way they've got the laws now too,
Yeah.
they're coming down pretty hard.
I was going to say, do you guys have chapters in Queensland?
Yeah.
I know recently they were trying to crack down on clubs across the board, and I didn't know if
Queensland's pretty bad.
In 2013, a series of draconian laws under what was known as VLAD, Vicious Lawless Association Disestablishment Act, was passed in the Australian state of Queensland, criminalizing a whole host of things such as multiple patch holders congregating, hanging out in bars and tattoo parlors, and with incredibly harsh criminal enhancements that could potentially put someone away for a very long time. Some in the Aussie Theo community look at bikies as the greatest national security threat to the otherwise safe and civilized British Commonwealth. Among some of the misguided reasons for such a crackdown, some of the lawmakers pointed to Sons of Anarchy, a violent but an unrealistic fictitious TV show about bikers.
G'day. My name is Alan Mason, Gadigal Elder. Where we are today, we're on Gadigal land. My mob is the Gadigal mob, one of the clans of the Eora Nation. I was born just over where that water tower is, way back in the day. My father worked in the railways, in the inn, just over behind the carriage works there. He was there before the war. When he came back from the war, he came back here. My mob's always been around this way. The Gadigal clan covers from the CBD down to around Maroubra, back across the Cooks River, back up through Marrickville, back over through Leichhardt, and back down through the CBD. That's clan's land there. And as you travel across these traditional lands, the spirits of our ancestors will guide and look over you and keep you safe. As we've all welcomed the countries, once again, my name is Alan Madden, Gadigal Elder. 2 apologies for the terrible weather we're having at the moment. Sorry. And not being able to welcome you to my country and my language, as we're forbidden to talk our language a long time ago.
The term mob here in Australia refers to a tribe. Also here in Australia, a mob can be referred to as a group of kangaroos. Despite some of the progress that the Aboriginals may have gained from its heavily institutional discrimination in the past by the white Anglo-European settlers, there are still a lot of social issues that is plaguing the First Nations people. And it looks like there are still lots of work ahead in providing equality for the real Australian natives. Here at the community center that has been renamed the Tony Mundane Gymnasium, named after the Aboriginal super middleweight boxing champion and former rugby player who he himself grew up here in Sydney. After meeting up with the local elder, Alan Madden, and giving a tour of the community center, we mount up and ride out as the mob takes me to another Sydney interest point. We roll out and head to the famed Bondi Beach. Well, the guys just brought me down here to Bondi Beach here. Bondi, when used to be known as a bunch of topless women hanging out here. So what more appropriate beach for bikers to come to here? So I think we're going grabbing some fish and chips or something.
Yep, sounds good to me.
Whatever we do it there. So yeah.
Hey, really, chick, it's Australia.
Can you guys tell us about Bondi Beach?
It's made of sand and water.
Yeah.
People like to swim in the water. Yeah. I've got no history of Bondi.
Yeah.
I know very little about Bondi, to be honest.
Huh? Oh.
I know what he knows. I know about the topless women.
Oh, yeah. So, enjoying some fish and chips here and out on Bondi Beach in Australia, and I have to say, some of the best damn fish and chips I've had. Sorry, London. ride is not done yet. After lunch, we headed back out as the mob takes me north on the other side of the Harbour Bridge. As we ride north across the span, I thought to myself how cool this was, taking a Harley across one of Australia's most iconic landmarks. Once on the other side, we drop down under the bridge to Milson's Point, where we are across the water from the Sydney Opera House. We also inadvertently crashed a wedding.
So we're here with the chapter president, Hamash, of the Mob Indigenous Riders of West Sydney. How you doing, Hamash?
Doing great, man. Thanks for coming out.
Well, thanks for inviting me along on the ride. So tell us, how did this club come about? It seems like it's an Aboriginal based club.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. Yeah. So it was started up in far north Queensland.
Yeah.
By a couple of brothers. There's a few other people. There's not many of the founding members left, but there's like Buck Barber and his brother John as well. But yeah, so they started up there with the idea of getting a club together of like Murray blokes, Aboriginal blokes, and going for a ride and doing it that way. And when we first started out, I started out running under far north Queensland. Back then there was only 2 chapters in the club.
Oh, okay.
The club's only relatively new. It's been going since 2010.
Oh, that's not too. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then so we came in under the banner of far north Queensland, and we ran under them for just over a year.
Yeah.
And then so after we got blessing from those guys, we started off. We brought the mob down to New South Wales.
So I'm here with Warren. He's another member here of the mob.
Yep.
So how long have you been a member here?
Full patch member now for 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Did our normal non-period and that beforehand.
They weren't too hard on you doing prospecting, were they?
No, very different to other like set clubs. It's just, as long as you're being involved in events and showing that you're going on rides and being part of it.
As long as you show interest.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. They're not after people that just want the patch. It's a family.
New Zealand to get a receipt or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Send you down to South Australia to get some hot chips.
There you go.
Happy now?
Like that. Except for the parade. Oh, it's a protest, I think. Yeah. Saw something with refugees.
Yeah, I think they're going to get a couple.
So we're with Cuz. He's one of the newer members here of Mob.
Yep, Mob Erg.
Yeah. So how did they get you in here?
So I found out about the mob through some fundraising activities they did.
Oh, okay.
Like with a lot of black people, we knew family, and at the time I was riding with a Christian motorcycle club.
Okay.
And some of my family then said to me, "Why aren't you riding with Mob?"
So how'd you get the name Cuz?
All right, so Cuz is just a nickname everybody's usually calling me.
Yeah.
It's just it's short for cousin, obviously. But for Aboriginal people, it's a term of affection.
Right.
Even between strangers.
Oh, okay.
So it's totally acceptable to walk up to another Aboriginal person that you've never met and say, "How you going, cuz?"
Oh, okay.
So
sort
pretty
of like
much,
brother. Like,
yep.
Hey, brother.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Okay.
Like
Sounds good.
instead of
Keep it in the family.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Good.
And the flags?
Oh, and the flags. Well, you got explain to the Aboriginal flag.
Okay.
The top one.
Yeah, sure.
How did that come about? That's you have the black, the red, and the
Yep.
gold.
So the black is our skin colour.
Yeah.
The yellow is it represents the sun, which is the provider of all life, and the red is our blood. It's the colour of our blood. So
interesting.
It's meant to tell a story about how we are one and we belong to the land and the areas that we live in. So.
Right here in Sydney has been quite a blast. And getting to meet with folks whose heritage goes back over 40,000 years in a land with year-round weather that's warm or mild. And one side of the cities offers wide open spaces with wide open highways. A land that was colonized began as a home for scores of outlaws and rebels. It makes sense how Australia has become one of the world's top places where the spirit of being a biker, or what they would call here down under, bikies, can flourish.